Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Matt Bernier. It's Queen's Plate Saturday at Woodbine, but that's not the only major race, not by a long shot. We're going to take a look at race number 9. It's the Grade 1 Highlander. It is a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, and you can play this entire Woodbine card with a new DRF Bets account. Sign up, get $100 in free cash to start punching away with. Learn more at drf.com/bet. Here are the field of turf sprinters getting set to go 6 furlongs on the E.P. Taylor course. $250,000 is the purse. Let's begin with a Southern California invader. It's the mare, Belvoir Bay, but she's beaten the boys before, and she has been on fire. She's won her last 4 turf sprints.
She's rock solid. I really can't knock anything about her other than possibly the fact that I think she takes her game to the next level going down the hill at Santa Anita. She can still win going shorter, as evidenced by that Ken Maddie when she won at Del Mar going 5/8 of a mile. But I just think she's much better going down the hill at 6.5 furlongs. She's versatile. She can go to the lead. She can sit just off. It is a different world getting out of Southern California, especially on the grass in these short races. I respect her, but I'm going to try to beat her.
Her tactical speed is a great asset because, as we saw in the Misdirection and as we saw last time out in the Monrovia, she is able to utilize that tactical speed to obtain perfect trips. Last time out in the Monrovia, she just sat on the rail, a seam opened up, and then in the blink of an eye, the race was over. That's the kind of horse Belvoir Bay is, but like you, she's going to have to ship. She's facing some tough competition, and at 3-1 on the morning line, coming off that perfect trip win, I might want to look for a little bit of value elsewhere, but you definitely have to respect her. Taking a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector, we've got a very exciting horse expected to make the lead. That's the number 2, Imprimis, a perfect 4 for 4 in his career. And this horse just handled the boggiest of going last time out in the Jim McKay Turf Sprint. Won very easy. He's got some big Beyer speed figures, but by far, this is the toughest test of his young career.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. Not only is it going to be the toughest test as far as competition is concerned, but now he's going to go a little bit farther. He's only run at 5/8 of a mile. Now we've got to go out to 6 furlongs for the first time in his career. But you brought it up. I mean, he faced a decent enough field most recently. Rocket Heat came back and earned a 91 on synthetic. The third place finisher, Oak Bluffs, was a next out winner with a 99. So, he was facing a decent enough field in that absolute bog. Look, Imprimis is an interesting horse. Is it bad of me to just kind of look at it and say, prove to me against better horses that you are actually as good as you look?
At 5-2, it's not bad of you to say that at all. We're looking for value. Lady Alexandra actually brings a giant number into this race. It was a 104 Beyer speed figure when beating fellow fillies and mares in the license fee. Now, it was also off of a very long layoff over a good turf course, and she kind of got away with soft fractions that she was pressing. She looked good winning that race, and she was going to run in the Jaipur, and Graham Motion said, no, I don't like the way the blood work looks. He scratched her out of that race. She's here with the best last Beyer, I believe, but that license fee has come back weak.
Yeah, it certainly has, especially when you just comparing this field against the field that she ran against. Stormy Victoria, an 86, Jennifer Lynette, an 80, 4th and 5th place finishers, 86 and 88 Beyers. She's certainly facing better horses this time around on Saturday. I have to be honest, I know it was a relatively soft pace. I love the way that she quickened and the way that she kicked away from that field. She's going to face much tougher. She is getting in light as opposed to many of the other foes in this spot, but look, I don't think it's impossible for her to win a race like this. I'm using her underneath, but I think she's got a puncher's chance.
6-1, and very interesting at that price. These connections paid $375,000 for her in November, and they were immediately rewarded with that big win in the license fee, her first start for these folks. Down towards the rail, Axtell stepping up off a non-winners of one other than win. Showed a little bit of speed in that spot, but this is just a completely different, stratosphere of class that she's going to be facing.
Yeah, that's the real concern. We've always talked about at these turf sprints. It feels like, okay, well, what's the difference between a 40 claimer and a graded stakes level runner? Well, I think this is sort of case in point where you see this horse is not nearly as fast or as talented as some of the better ones in here.
Corinthia Knight ships in from France, where he didn't really run very well last time out on turf, and that's kind of been the story of his career. He's been a synthetic wonder, but when he's gone on turf, it just hasn't been the same results. He's getting blinkers. We've seen shippers do well at Woodbine in the past. Heck, this horse ran just fine in the juvenile turf sprint last year. But boy, he's also a 3-year-old taking on elders.
Yeah, there's a lot going against this horse in this spot, but the big thing to me, it's glaring how much better he is on synthetic than he is on turf. That alone, I understand you always have to respect the shippers coming in from Europe, but that piece alone is enough for me to fade him.
Icarin Road last summer and into the fall really got hot over the Tapeta surface with 3 big wins, including a score in the Grade 3 Bold Venture. Like the European horse we've talked about, he just might be better on the synth, although last time out he was in against a salty old-timer in San Nicola Thunder. That horse has earned over $800,000, and Icarin Road might have been compromised by a lack of pace that day.
I'm a little bit of a fan of this horse. And like you say, the compromising situation with the pace in that most recent start and that Jacques Cartier, look, he ran up against Pink Lloyd. I'm not going to hold that against him. And it was his first start since November. But the bigger piece there is I think he is much better on the synthetic than he is on the turf. Even when he's at his absolute best, that alone is enough for me to say no.
The last 2 horses we talked about are probably better on the synth than on the turf. Boreal Spirit is better on the turf than on the synth. There's no doubt about that. 0 for 11 on synthetic surfaces. Game winner last time out at a big price in the first start off a 6-month layoff. But you still get the feeling he's got to improve a little bit against this tough field.
Yeah, from a fig standpoint, he's close, but I just feel like you combine the bump in class as well as needing to run faster and the outside draw. I think there's too much going against him.
ABBA 2 for 2 since coming up to Canada, both of those races on the synthetic. If you believe synthetic form can successfully translate to turf, this horse might be somewhat of an interesting long shot, but I also thought he got a sweet trip for $60,000 last time out, and it is a different surface. Turf debut against these horses, not my kind of horse, but the price will be right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't want to talk anyone off of a 15-1 shot, but I just look and say a little bit slow. Also, though, Norm McKnight's barn is still rolling along at almost 40%. So, look, this is, I suppose, an interesting one if you want to take a flyer.
Let's talk about our top picks in here because we're both going to be coming likely from the back of the pack, and we're going to need a little bit of hitting up front. Let's talk about long and value in. These connections might have gotten a steal. This is a horse that took Bill Mott and his prior connections all over the world. He was 3rd in the Woodbine Mile. He's a millionaire. They got him for $100,000 in November, and they rewarded him right away with a big performance at Churchill Downs.
You know, the thing about that Mighty Bow, man, you want to talk about breaking sticks, and I know it was a much lesser field than what he's going to face on Saturday. At no point did Florent Giroux look concerned. He got him to the back of the pack. He basically kept him 5 pass wide throughout and never got out of first gear. He's geared down in a 5-furlong race. I mean, that doesn't happen. And by the way, he came from last. To me, this is the kind of horse with Brad Cox now, second off the bench. He's the kind of horse that, keep in mind, the Breeders' Cup is at Churchill Downs this year. If you keep him healthy, which has been a problem in his past, he's been a little bit of an ouchie sort. I loved him when he ran the Woodbine Mile last year. I was hoping they were going to run him in the Breeders' Cup Mile because he had so much trouble. I think this horse is a major player. If he takes a step forward here, he's going to be an absolute bear down the lane.
And Brad Cox had so much success with the good turf sprinter Green Mask once he got a hold of him. Long on value, just needs a little bit of pace and race luck, as does my top selection, the 4, Holden Gold. And Holden Gold has a potent kick, and he's got a couple of fast races on his page. That Dubai race, he was just in a little bit too tough. But I think ever since the Dubai start, Mark Casse circled this race. They ran him in the Jaipur, first time back from Dubai. And he tried to come from last. He swung real wide turning into the stretch. He finished okay behind Disco Partner, who's one of the better turf sprinters in the entire country. Really like the way he galloped out after that race. And I think this Woodbine course configuration with the long stretch is going to work to his favor. He's another horse that needs a little bit of a trip. But second off the layoff, I'm going to give Holden Gold and Johnny V a chance. He's 8-1 on the morning line. I'm going to go 4, 5, 2, and 8. I want to kind of key on the 2 and 4 in multiple race wagers. You're going with the 6 long on value. Give me numbers.
6, 2, 5, 4.
Really should be a fun race, the Grade 1 Highlander. It's a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, and it's one of a slew of stakes races at Woodbine on Queen's Plate Saturday, and you can bet it with a DRF Bets account with $100 in free cash. Learn more at drf.com/bet. Approximate post time for the Highlander, 4:51 Eastern. Good luck.